Okay, in this video we are going to go through a very simple Terraform project for Google Cloud. So probably the first thing you want to do is you want to go to the video description and grab this GitHub repository link and get it so you can follow along with me as I go through the solution. So what this does is there's a very simple Terraform project included, which simply creates an Ubuntu VM instance within Google Cloud. Now there's a startup script attached to it, which is going to install Apache during boot and enable it. So the first thing we want to do is we want to go grab this project. So let me do copy here and then go over here, and I'm going to do the git clone, and now I have the project. So now let's go to the next step. The next step is we need to make sure that we have all our requirements installed. So what you need to do is make sure you have gcloud installed, Terraform, and Packer. So we'll go do that, and then we will validate it. Okay, so I've completed the installs, and now we need to go in and let's just validate that those commands are in your path. So I should do Packer version, and then I should do Terraform version, and then finally gcloud version. So we've installed everything. Now we're ready to move to the next step. So let's go. Okay, now we need to have a GCP account. So you need to go ahead and create one of those, or if you have one existing. Now once you have the account, now we've got to create a project and create the credentials.json. So I'm going to walk through that. It's fairly simple. I'm going to log into my Google Cloud account. I'm going to click on projects up here, and I'm going to say new project, and the new project is going to be set up test. So let's go ahead and create that one. And it takes a minute for the project to create, so we will pause it and let it create. Alright, so now we need to select this new project that we created. So we hit setup. Alright, now the next thing we need to do is we need to create a service account so that Terraform and gcloud and Packer can talk to your GCP account. So what I'm going to do is at the top do IAM service and admin, and then where we go into service and admin, and on the left hand side we'll look for service accounts, and we want to create a service account, and let's call it Terraform Builder, create and continue. It's going to say what role we want to add. Owner, that's the ability to do anything. That's the owner of the account, and then at that point we hit done. Alright, so now we've got the list of service accounts. Now we need to create that credentials.json. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on here, and I'm going to say keys. I need to get a key, so I'm going to add a key, create new key, JSON, create, and here it's going to go download that JSON for you. So let's go to that folder, and you've got this JSON, and you want to say this, rename it credentials JSON, because that's what we'll need to put in the project. And at that point you've got everything you need from a setup perspective to do the account. So let's go back to here, and let's plug in that JSON and make sure that everything is set up correctly. Okay, now let's just finish the configuration. I'm in my playpen where I've pulled the file. or pulled the project. And what I need to do is I need to upload that credentials.json file that we just created into the root level of the project. Now the thing to keep in mind is there is a get ignore here, which makes it so you're not ever going to push the credentials.json. You don't ever want to push those credentials into source management. I think GitHub will prevent you. But once we've done that, the next step we have to do is we want to do check env, and let's see if we've got a connection. All right, so we've got a connection. Now this is something that's specific to Google Cloud. Is I've now got to update or enable API. So in this project, I have a script that's called API setup that's going to go through and update all the APIs you need. If you're running this the first time, you may have to hit yes to confirm. But just go ahead and I've already run this because it takes about 10 minutes to run the first time. So this will enable all the APIs, and at this point, you could now run the apply. So let's run the apply. And while it's running, let's go back to the README file and let's look at the code. Now, the GCP one is dirt simple compared to the other ones because all I really need to do is specify a couple of firewall rules, 22 and HTTP 80. And then I can create the lightweight Ubuntu image here. And I use E2 Micro, Central again. And here's the magic that makes it so you don't have to create any network. You can just say use the default GCP networks, which you wouldn't do for a real project, but just to show an example, we went ahead and did that. And then it pulls in the startup script and then sets the public key and then attaches the various things. Now this last part is resolving the Ubuntu image. This is probably the most likely thing to change over time. I picked an image that I think is going to be there for several years. But if you ever get this data block where it says it can't find Ubuntu latest, you may have to tweak this if it's been moved or renamed. Last part is that outputs the IP address that we'll be able to use. And then also in the scripts, I've shown this on the other videos, you can see, there we go, we've got the script to install Apache, enable it, and run it. So let's switch back to the build, see where we're at. And there we go. It is built. And now we can go into Google Cloud. So I'm going to go back to here, and I'm going to go to select a project. And I'm going to put in VM instances. And it should show me my VM instances. And we should have that setup instance sitting there. Alright, this has been updated. I just need to refresh. Let me pause here. Okay, I was a dum-dum. I selected the wrong link, and when I search for it, I just need to do VM, and that will show it to me. So VM instances. I think I accidentally went to the page to actually turn on the APIs, and it was already enabled. So disregard that little screen. So this is pretty much the only thing your object you're going to get. You got the setup VM, you got the public IP address, and what's really cool is the SSH client in Google. I don't have to enable anything; it just works, or the web-based SSH client. So you just click on SSH, it transfers the keys, does a couple OAuth things, and now at this point, I should be able to get it without an SSH client. I'm not using MOBA, I'm not using PuTTY, it's just connecting. Okay, so that's finished. I'm going to do top. I think it's, let's see if it's running. Let me sudo bash systemctl status Apache 2. Alright, so it's in the process of installing. So I'm going to pause it and let it finish installing. At this point, the boot script is running and it hasn't finished. So let me pause and let it finish. Alrighty, so we can see the Apache service has run, so the startup script has completed. I'm going to go ahead and close this. And now I'm going to go back to my shell, and I've got that right there, so I'm going to copy that public IP address, bring a browser, a new tab, and then do http slash slash, and there you go. The same one we've seen in all the other videos. So Apache is running. Um, at this point, you could play with it. You could add some same things, change the VMs, and rerun it, and pipeline should all work. But for purposes of setting up a Terraform project, we're completed and we're done. So we got to remember, we got to get that credentials JSON, we got to secure it, and that is sort of the glue that magically allows us to log in to Google Cloud. It's very different, or not very different, just different than AWS and Azure, where just you're setting a series of environment variables. Here it's an actual JSON file. It's pretty gnarly if you look at it. It's got keys and stuff in it, and an OAuth authenticator. So that's pretty much it for this example. Now the only thing left to do is we want to be good hygiene, and we want to run the destroy sh, and that's going to go destroy everything we just built. Now this is the third video of setting up Terraform. There's two others, one for Azure and one for AWS, that pretty much does the, similar example on all three. It boots up an Ubuntu image. But at this point, you're ready to go for any of my additional GCP videos. So thank you.